Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Modern Meta Matchups. And today we have Arven with us, joining for the 5th time on this series.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for me, I've never actually beaten him, so hopefully I can finally get a win?
No.
We'll see what happens, I guess. And the decks that we have today, I'm going to be playing Grixis Death Shadow featuring Lurrus as the companion. I have a lot of new cards from Modern Horizons, such as Dragon's Rage Channeler, as well as Dragonman and Dress Down. And the Dress Down worked really well on this deck. It does a lot of great things offensively, and even defensively, you can do some pretty fun things.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm on is going to be Orzhov Stoneblade. So that's the namesake of the deck, which I do play the Stoneblade package with Stoneforge and grabs me some utility cards. But I also play cards like Unmarked Graves and Persist. So just put some big things in my graveyard, and hopefully I can reanimate them and keep my streak.
I'm hoping to finally end that streak, and if you want to see more of those videos, you can subscribe to us, and it means a lot. You can find that button down in the bottom corner there. Check out more of our content, and let us know you like this video by hitting that like button.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have any suggestions or want to see something, leave us a comment. Tell us what you think.
And without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump over to game one.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I have won the die roll off camera, and as you can see, Lurrus will be my companion this game.
Hopefully you don't kill me.
And the rest of the games. I think this is probably good enough. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a shot.
I'm gonna take a mulligan.
So looking at my opening hand here, it's pretty decent. I have 2 lands, which is pretty much the perfect amount of lands in this deck to have in your opening hand. I have a Watery Grave and a Blood Crypt. A little bit sad that one of these isn't a fetch land, because I do have a Mishra's Bauble, meaning it's not quite as good as it normally would be, but it's still fine because I have a Dragon's Rage Channeler. So Mishra's Bauble and Dragon's Rage Channeler work very well together. It still lets me get sort of a pseudo look at what my future draw might be. Other cards in this hand, I have a Thoughtseize, which is great. It's going to allow me to tear apart Arven's hand, as well as a Lightning Bolt and a Death Shadow. So I have late game answers. I have some answers to some of his early drop creatures, and hopefully this hand will get me there.
All right, so I took a mulligan, so I still get to see 7 here. What am I gonna bottom? I keep this.
Hopefully your best card.
I don't know about that, but I think I'm gonna keep this hand, and I'm going to bottom this card. So this hand I'm looking at is actually pretty good. I have a basic Plains and a Marsh Flats, so those are my lands that I have, and I have a Thoughtseize, which should be pretty good. But to follow up with that, I have a Grief and an Ephemerate. I'm hoping I can set up a turn where I can just Thoughtseize him a few times here. And with that, I have a Stoneforge Mystic. But unfortunately, I had to bottom a card because I mulligan, and that was the Priest that I had in my hand.
All right, I think we're going to go ahead and just lead things off with a Blood Crypt untapped. And I'll cast Thoughtseize, targeting you.
Okay, so you see a Plains, which you can't take. Marsh Flats, which you can't take.
Okay.
And everything else you can.
I see.
Yeah.
So I could be risky here and take your Thoughtseize, and then you'd have to draw a black card in order to do the Grief shenanigans. Or I can just force the issue and just take Grief now. Probably safer just to take the Grief, so I think that's what we're going to do.
Grief's going to go to my graveyard.
I'm really glad that I let off on this Thoughtseize here. And main reason for that is I saw that he had Grief, and he also had Ephemerate in his hand. If I didn't do this, he would have been able to Thoughtseize me 3 times by turn 2. That would have been a lot to come back from, and the main reason that I chose to Thoughtseize on turn 1 is because I am playing against Orzhov Stoneblade, and they tend to pack these Griefs, and I didn't want to take the chance of losing 3 cards by turn 2. So I'm very glad to get this Grief out of his hand here.
Thoughtseize? Austin took my Grief and gave me all of his? Come on, that was literally the only thing that this hand had going for it. I don't know what I'm going to do. All right, I'm assuming you're all set there?
I'm all good.
Off the turn. Interesting. So I'm going to play a Marsh Flats, and I'm going to sacrifice it to look for a basic swamp. All right, so I'm going to tap that swamp, and I think I'll Thoughtseize you as well.
Okay. And I've got a lot of cards.
That Yeah, that's a few cards. I don't really think I like the lightning bolt, so we're gonna take that out of your hand.
All right, lightning bolt goes away.
I'll pass the turn.
Draw.
Okay.
It's a pretty good top deck there.
Is it another lightning bolt?
Not quite.
No.
I'll go ahead and pay 2 life. Shotgun this Watery Grave. I'll play Dragon's Rage Channeler.
Okay.
Or Darcy. Would like to Inquisition of Kozilek you. Before that resolves, I have a Surveil trigger.
Yeah.
Go ahead and put that in the graveyard. And I'll go ahead and probably take that Stoneforge Mystic, but let's see what you got.
Do you have to?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably the Stoneforge, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take Stoneforge.
Yep. You don't want to take the Ephemerate?
I'm okay. And then I'm going to cast Mishra's Bauble,
Yeah.
get another Surveil trigger. I'll put that in the graveyard as well. And I think I'm just going to pass the turn.
Untap? Yep. And draw. Alright, well, let's play that Plains that you know about, and I think I'm just going to pass the turn.
I'll bauble you.
You see this card.
On my upkeep, I get to draw a card off the bauble, and then I draw for turn. I'll play Swamp as land for turn. I'll play another bauble.
Yeah.
Trigger Surveil.
Are you delirious yet?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's not good.
I have Artifact, Creature, Sorcery, and Instant.
Can I take back my decision taking the bolt? Is that something I can do?
It's too late. Let's see. Do I want to leave that there? Probably fine. I'll go to combat.
Yeah.
Check for 3.
No blocks. Take 3.
And then I'll just put Luris in my hand. And then it'll be your turn.
All right. Draw for the turn. I'll just play basic Plains and say go.
I'll bauble you again.
Yeah. I don't
Upkeep,
think
draw for turn.
I'm in trouble.
That you are. I think we can take things slow. I'll attack for 3.
No blocks. Take 3.
And I'll just play out a Ragavan here.
Yeah.
And pass the turn.
I think I'm just gonna play this as the flip side, as a tapped land here.
Yeah, you got it.
And that's the turn.
Sure thing. I'll draw. I'll go to combat.
Yeah.
Attack for 5.
No blocks. You get a trigger.
Yep. I get a treasure and Godless Shrine is exiled.
Yep. It goes into my exile. At least I'm not drawing it, so like...
That's something. You've got...
I got 3.
3 cards in hand. You have an Ephemerate and a Sarah's Emissary and something else.
That is all you know. 2 cards.
I think we're fine to probably Thoughtseize here. We'll just take an Ephemerate.
Yeah, you got it.
And I lose 2 life. I get a Surveil trigger as well. Graveyard.
You don't want to... okay.
I'm okay. And then I'll go ahead and pay 1 mana and play a 1/1 Death Shadow.
I'm in trouble. Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Gotta put lethal on board.
Well, let's see. That is 3. Oh, lethal. Look at that. No, I drew an unmarked grave. Yeah, that's lethal. I can't do anything about that.
That's fair.
Let's go to game 2.
I have the counter anyway.
Yep.
So going into the sideboard here, I have a lot of cards that are pretty good in this matchup that I want to bring in. Those being Soul Guide Lantern and Dress Down. So I have 3 copies of Soul Guide Lantern here. They're very nice. They're able to exile just a single target card when they enter the battlefield. I can get whatever his reanimation target might be, or his reanimation spells. Sometimes those sit in the yard as well. So very good at just dealing with 1 card. I can sack them, draw a card, and kind of just keep on recurring them with Luris if I have that in play. The Dress Down also fits kind of a similar role, sort of. It's able to maybe make his reanimation targets less threatening by making their ETBs go away or any of their attack triggers go away. So they're good for that. They're also really good at shutting down Stoneforge when it enters. Makes it so he doesn't even have the ability to find any sort of equipment. In order to put these cards in, I have to take some cards out though. So here I'm taking out 2 Inquisition of Kozileks as well as 2 Croxes. So the Inquisitions are fine. They're not bad in this matchup by any means, but I do have to find room for the cards that I want to bring in. And they're a little bit wonky because they don't hit Grief, and Thoughtseize is going to be able to hit Grief. That's the main card that I want to be able to hit. The Inquisition can't hit. I also still want to be losing life because I am a Death Shadow deck, so Thoughtseize is obviously just the better card. And then Croxa, although it's a nice big body, it's a 6/6, it allows him to discard the big reanimation targets if they're stuck in his hand. It gives him a free discard outlet, and I don't necessarily want to be doing that. Also, I'm imagining that a lot of graveyard hate is going to be brought in because that's something that is very common against Lurrus decks. So I know that the Croxes are going to be less good anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. So on my end, kind of to play off of that, is I do bring in 2 cards in Kaya's Guile. So Kaya's Guile does everything I want it to do, and if I get to entwine it, I get everything that I want. I can hit your graveyard, potentially make you sack something, gain some life. It's just very versatile. Same thing with Kaya. This is the one card I'm actually very excited about, because when it comes down, I can start hitting cards from your graveyard. If it's creatures, I could potentially gain some life. I can also start hitting your 1-drop things, because you do play quite a few of them. And if I get to the ult, and if I've exiled 7, 8, maybe 9 cards, potentially hit you for 9, gain 9, which would be amazing. And the one other cards is also Dothi Voidwalker. So this one is pretty versatile, where if you start putting cards in your graveyard and he's in play, they just kind of go away, and maybe later on I can find something that will help me, and that's what's exiled with it. Now, what I'm taking out are kind of slower cards and 2 hand disruption of sorts. I do have a Thoughtseize that I'm taking out. It's a little bit slower because I do play Griefs, and I can ephemerate and just kind of like do a little shenanigans with it and start ripping your hand apart. And I do also have 2 more Thoughtseize, so I'm not too worried about it. The Collective Brutality is a little awkward in this deck because I don't really want to be spending that much mana to maybe duress you, so it's just a little clunky. And that's how Vindicate is. So Vindicate at 3 mana is just a little slow. Maybe hitting like a Death Shadow or something like that. It's just too slow for me. I can't really spend 3 mana to remove a creature at sorcery speed. And the same thing with Ashen Rider. Reanimating something like this is just very slow for me. I'd rather hit anything else in my graveyard. Since Austin slaughtered me game 1, I think I'm going to be on the play for game 2.
I'm just hoping I don't get triple Thoughtseized.
That's what I want to do. Yikes. Yeah, we're going to take a mulligan on this one.
This might be a little bit risky, but I think I'll give it a shot. Alright, so looking at my opening hand here for game 2, it's definitely a risky keep because I only have 1 land, and that is Polluted Delta. The rest of my hand, though, is very solid. I have Dragon's Rage Channeler as well as Mishra's Bauble, which are very nice and will help me maybe find a land by turn 2. I also have a couple 1-drops with Lightning Bolt and Thoughtseize, so if I don't find that land, I still have action that I can play. And I have a couple good 2-drops with Dress Down and Drown in the Lock. Dress Down is one of those sideboard cards. Maybe it'll help me get some advantage in this game. And then Drown in the Lock is just great to be able to have some sort of counter spell, or if I wasn't able to counter something, hopefully just destroy one of his creatures.
Alright, so I took a mulligan here, so let's see if this one is better than my first hand.
Maybe.
I hope so. Yeah, I would say this is much better than my first hand. I think I am keeping this and putting this card to the bottom.
Okay.
So I can't stop mulliganing. So for game 2, I do have a few lands here. I have a Godless Shrine, I have a Silent Clearing, and I also have a Marsh Flats. Unfortunately, this hand was a little heavy on lands, so I did have a Verdant Catacombs that I put to the bottom. With the spells department, I have a Thoughtseize, I have a Prismatic Ending, and I also have a Kaya's Guile. I'm not too confident with this hand, but it actually seems pretty good, so I'm going to keep it and see how it goes. Alright, so I'm going to start things off by shocking myself with a Godless Shrine.
Okay.
And Thoughtseize.
Alright, well, I only have 1 land.
I see, so that's the kind of hand you kept, huh?
Yeah. I've got a lot of other things.
Oh. Well, I don't particularly like getting Thoughtseized. So we're just going to take your Thoughtseize.
Okay.
And don't get the Thoughtseize bug and draw another one. I'll just pass.
Thoughtseize bug exists in real life too, right?
Please don't. Is it Thoughtseize?
No.
Oh, nice.
You're saved. I'll do a polluted delta, and I'll immediately grab. Kind of awkward. I think I need to grab a. We'll go with a blood crypt. And I'll go ahead and play good old Darcy.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And then I'll cast a Mishra's Bauble and Surveil. I'll leave that right there.
Okay.
And after that, I'll pass the turn.
Got it.
On your upkeep.
Yeah, upkeep.
I'd like to see what
Sure.
you're drawing. Okay.
I draw. I see. Well, in that case, I'm going to cast a Prismatic Ending. See. And I'm just going to play a Marsh Flats.
Okay.
I believe I'm all done here. Go ahead.
Untap. During my upkeep, I get to draw a card, and
do.
then I'll draw for turn.
Hopefully a land.
Yeah, that's what I left on top with the Darcy there.
I mean, hopefully you didn't get a land, but...
I think I'll just pass the turn there.
End of your turn. I'm going to sacrifice my Marsh Flats for another tapped Godless.
First thing.
So we are going to untap and draw for the turn. Interesting. So I think I'm going to cast a Unmarked Grave.
That's fine.
So I'm going to grab Archon of Cruelty. All right, and then I'm going to play a land and just pass the turn here.
At the end of your turn, I will sacrifice my polluted delta and grab. I think we're gonna go for steam vents untapped.
Sure.
I'll just flash in, dress down to draw a card.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
And then go to my turn.
What do you got for me?
I think I'm just gonna play a swamp, and then I'll go to my end step, and dress down will get sacrificed.
Yeah. So I'll untap and draw for the turn. Okay. Let's start things off with a Thoughtseize.
That's not very good for me.
Probably not.
Yeah, that happens.
All right, let's see what you got. Bolt.
Triple bolt, explosive iteration, and drown in the lock.
Okay, let's take the drown in the lock here.
Yep. And
now with that gone, how about a persist, losing 1 life?
Yeah.
I'm going to reanimate Archon of Cruelty with a -1/-1 counter on it.
Yep.
When it enters, it has a trigger.
Yep. I will lose 3 life and discard a lightning bolt.
I will gain 3 life and draw a card. And then I'm going to play a Marsh Flats and just pass the turn.
I would like to cast 2 lightning bolts targeting the Archon of Cruelty.
Yeah, absolutely. So not gonna lie, that was pretty good. Unfortunately, my Archon had to die here, but I don't care. I got to 4-for-1 him. I got 3 cards out of his hand. I drew a card, gained some life, and the Archon died. Big whoop-de-doo. I don't really care. It's a 4-for-1. Not gonna lie, that was really good.
Oh man, this Archon of Cruelty was a beating. When I entered, I had to discard a card and lose life. He got to draw a card and gain life. And I'm stuck here having to use 2 more lightning bolts on it. That's like 1, 2, 3, 4 cards basically that changed. My 2 bolts, the card I discarded, and the card he drew, all to deal with 1 card. I'm gonna need some good draws and hope that he doesn't find anything useful. The good news is I do have an expressive iteration here.
Yeah, I really wanted to take that, but I didn't want my persist to get countered.
I think I'm gonna go hand exile bottom.
Sure.
And I'll cast the Mishra's Bauble.
Sure.
And I'll go ahead. No, I'll just wait. I'll wait 2.
Okay.
I'll pass the turn.
Untap. Upkeep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and bauble you.
Yeah, you see this.
Okay.
Still on my upkeep. I'm gonna sacrifice my Marsh Flats for a basic swamp.
Okay.
Alright, so I'm gonna go to draw. Yep. Interesting. You have... How many cards do you have in your graveyard?
A lot.
That's not good.
Threshold's online. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yikes. Okay. I think I'll just pass the turn.
On my upkeep, I'll draw a card off the bauble.
Yep.
And then draw a card for the turn.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too bad. Kind of like these draws. I'm going to go ahead and lead things off with 1 mana for good old Darcy.
Yeah, Darcy's pretty good.
I'll then pay 1 black mana.
Mm-hmm.
Cast Soul Guide Lantern. Cast trigger.
Yeah, that resolves.
I'll leave that right where it's at.
Okay.
And let's go ahead and, I think, get rid of your Archon, but I'll double check.
You know that Marsh Flats? That's a
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and exile the Archon there.
response. I'm sad.
And then I'll play Polluted Delta.
Okay.
And I'll cast a Monkey.
Monkey, you say? I'm gonna respond to the monkey.
Sure thing.
How about a Kaya's Guile?
Okay.
I would like for you to sacrifice a creature and
This
exile.
is with the monkey on the stack.
With the
or
monkey
in
on the
play?
stack. Okay. So I'm gonna have you exile your exile your graveyard and sacrifice a creature.
Okay. So Darcy gets sacrificed first, and then
Then you exile your entire
exile
graveyard.
the
Yep.
graveyard.
And then monkey will resolve.
Okay. Dragon comes into play.
Yep.
I'm all set.
Untap. Soul Guide Lantern, you say, huh?
Yep. Pretty good.
Interesting. What a Dothy Voidwalker.
Yeah.
I think I am all done here.
I'll untap and I'll draw. I already knew about that. It's pretty good here. I'm going to go ahead and cast Drown in the Lock, targeting your Dothy Voidwalker.
Yeah, I'm sad in response. It goes to the graveyard and your Drown the Lock, or it goes into your graveyard, not exile.
I'll go to combat.
Yep.
Attack for 2.
No blocks.
What do we get off the top?
You get a persist.
A persist. Well, I don't
Awkward,
have
huh?
I don't have much going on. I also get my treasure though.
You do. This is gonna go into exile, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think I'm gonna go ahead and sacrifice my Polluted Delta. I'll grab an untapped Watery Grave.
Sure.
And I'll go ahead and pay 3 mana. Goodbye, treasure. And I will put Luris into my hand again.
Yep. Good thing you don't have too many cards in graveyard though.
True. I've got a Drown in the Lock and a Polluted Delta. I'm done.
End of your turn. I think I'm gonna draw a card here.
Sounds good.
Needs something. Okay. I'll untap and draw for the turn. That's awkward. So awkward.
I see you might be looking for one of your exiled cards.
No.
Persist in hand?
No, I'm just looking for information. You have 2 cards in your graveyard?
Yeah, I have Polluted Delta and Drown in the Lock.
Okay.
They don't do much with Luris.
No. Not really, which I kind of
Can't
like.
really cast them because they're not permanents that are castable.
I think I'll just pass.
I'll untap and draw.
Yep. Couldn't?
It's a magic card.
Well,
I'll go to combat.
yeah.
I'll attack for 2.
No blocks, no effects. You see a ephemerate.
Ephemerate. Probably not going to be casting this turn.
Goes to exile.
However, I would like to
Make my life sad.
cast this Luris here.
Yeah.
And just to see what's going on in your hand, I'm going to go ahead and cast a Thoughtseize.
That was bad.
And I'll lose 2 life.
So you see that? See that? The only target in my graveyard is Dothy Voidwalker currently.
I think I'm going to take Persist.
You sure?
Yeah. I think you're a little bit of mana short on that Cauldron.
It costs 4, right? Right.
4 plus 3.
Something like that. You all set?
Yeah, after that I'm all good.
Something so we don't die. Not that. I can tell you that much. It is a Marsh Flat.
Oh, you're getting closer. Only 2 more mana and you can cast it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna die before that happens. I'm no expert. I'll pass.
I'll untap and draw.
Hopefully just a land.
Maybe. I'll attack for 5.
Yeah, no effects.
I gain 3.
Yeah, you
I get another treasure.
An unmarked grave.
Unmarked grave. That's interesting. Yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and cast that.
Okay. That's right. You don't have. Well, even.
I'm gonna put Dragon's Rage Channeler into my graveyard.
Yep, that seems pretty good with a Luris in play.
And, I'll go ahead and use Luris's nice little handy ability there and cast my Darcy.
Yeah, the resolve.
I'm all set.
On your end step, just so hopefully I can get it, I'm gonna sacrifice my Marsh Flats and look for a basic Plains.
Sure thing.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to my turn.
You got any outs there?
I have 1 copy of Damn. It is literally my only out.
Okay.
I literally had 1 out this game. Just 1. Guess what? I'm so lucky. I just drew it right off the top and it was Damn. So I just overloaded Damn and all of his creatures will just go away here. Overload Damn?
Well, damn. This is what it would have been like if I didn't have this Drown in the lock. But now Arven is gonna be like, damn, there goes my win streak. Well, that would be pretty bad for me.
What do you mean?
Except the last card in my hand is Drown in the lock. So I'll go ahead and cast that. I'm gonna counter, but I get a Surveil trigger. Go ahead and put that in the graveyard.
Damn. Tap 1 white.
Okay.
That's the turn.
Alright, I'll untap, draw, and go to combat.
Yeah.
I'll attack.
Yeah, you get a trigger after damage.
That you die before the trigger resolves.
Yeah.
Good games. Well, I finally got there. I'm no longer defeated against you on the series.
Yeah, I'm 4-1 now.
When you put it that way, it makes me feel a little bit worse, but I'm gonna take it as a win.
Yeah, it makes me feel better, so like, no, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't really that close, honestly. I mean, luckily for me, the lightning bolts were enough in that second game there to kill that Archon.
Yeah, it just kind of got trampled in both those games. I think deck's sweet, this was better.
Yep, and if you want to see any more of our videos, you can find one right about there.
And if you haven't subscribed, that button right over there.